Good evening, Tatnika Sana. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, Tata. How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Very well, thank you. Welcome. It's good to see you again or hear you again.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, I think we're going to begin so that we keep track of the time. Good evening to everybody. Those who I have had the pleasure of meeting and speaking to before, and those who I haven't. My name is Harmony Malope. I am a trainer, assessor, facilitator, and as well as a coach. And thank you for joining our vision casting webinar tonight. I hope that it's going to be a beneficial experience for you. And we can just go right into it. So I'm going to share my screen. Please note that a lot of the interaction between you and I is going to require usage of the comments section. So that's the one at the bottom of your screen where it says chat with everybody. So there'll be times where I'll be asking you questions. If you could please respond in the chat box with your response, just so that we can have some engagement going on in the group, ensuring that everybody is having time to interact and engage with one another. Is that okay?
It's fine.
Thank you. You can also use make use of the emojis, the thumbs up or the thumbs down, to agree or disagree, just so that I can make sure that everybody is on par and I'm not leaving anyone behind. There we go. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we can get straight into it. Okay. Please confirm if everybody can see the screen. Great. Welcome again to our vision casting webinar. So just as I had explained via the emails that I sent, this is to help you achieve your goals by creating a clear roadmap for success for the year that is 2025. We're in Feb, a month in the year, and already things are underway, but it's not too late to actually cast things in stone and have things ready for you to look at and focus on for the year. So we're hoping that this session will help us do that. I just want to let somebody in. My apologies. Okay. There we go. So just for your information, I am recording this session. This is for our compliance, just to make sure that we have some record keeping of the webinars that we give on file for future usage as well. Okay. Right. Let's get into it. So just a quick and brief introduction for those of you who don't know me. Like I mentioned, my name is Harmony. I'm a skills trainer, facilitator, assessor, and life coach. So I'm certified in training and facilitating. I have many years experience in informative sessions and engaging participants with workshops that I've created and developed, as well as those that were developed by others. I'm a firm believer in sharing knowledge because I think it transforms the world and I'm passionate about it. The services that I give are training and facilitation, assessing of trainers and other facilitators, workshop content and development, live coaching, mentoring, as well as emceeing services. So after the session, if you don't fully know what it is that I do just yet, you're welcome to visit my website to get more information, and I'll give you that information closer to the end of the session. Okay. So what are we going to be covering tonight? So we're going to be talking about vision casting, and the topics that we're going to go through are as follows. We're going to be talking about what is vision casting, who casts the vision, so who is responsible for the actual act of vision casting, who is the vision cast for? So we've cast these visions, we have them and we share them, but who are we sharing them with? Why is it important to cast a vision? What is the process of casting a vision, which is also a very important question, because what is the way to do it correctly? And then what is the outcomes that we want to see after the vision have been cast? And then finally, what is the routine continuous assessment? So how do we keep checking that the vision and the plans that we have in place are actually aligned and we're being followed and we are on track? Okay. So the purpose of this discussion, again, is to project your vision. So to help you develop your ability to effectively communicate your goals and objectives to the relevant people who are required to make them an existing reality, right? So it's all good and well to have goals and to have a vision, but we need to actually be able to communicate them effectively to the people that might be required to actually help you achieve them. And that's what the purpose of this discussion is. How do we develop your ability to actually effectively communicate those goals with the people that need to know what they are? All right. So the first question of the session is, in the comments section, please just type a short answer to what your understanding of vision casting is. So I'm sure you've heard it said or mentioned before, but what do you think, in a few words, what do you think vision casting actually means? Yes, Anna Sue, setting goals for the year. Okay. Thank you for your input. Please remember you can make use of the chat box to give your responses. Yes, Flora, putting your goals into words and images, that's correct. Yes, Nkosana, learning new ideas, absolutely. So those are all accurate assessments or inputs about what vision casting actually is. So let me just share again. Thank you for sharing your inputs. So vision casting essentially, if I were to tell you to close your eyes and then think about the best possible outcome for your future, so anything at all that you want to achieve for yourself, and the kind of questions that you need to ask yourself while you're thinking about this outcome is, what does it look like? How did I get there? Who is there with you? So who are the people that have helped you get there? How long did it take you to get there? Did it cost you anything to get there? And are you satisfied with the picture? Do you like the way that it looks? Are there things that you need to amend? Are there anything that needs to change in that picture? And when you have that visual picture in your mind and you're answering these questions as you're creating this vision in your mind, we can then look at the definition of vision casting as follows. Vision casting basically means presenting a clear and powerful picture. Clear and powerful being the operative words, because often the picture that is in our mind is very bright, and being able to present it as clearly and concisely as it appears in our minds is the difficulty. So we need to set and present a clear and powerful picture of the desired future state or goal. It involves articulating the idea. So the idea needs to be shared, whether it's verbally or written down. The idea needs to be articulated. The dream needs to be articulated. And we do so in a direction, in a way that inspires, motivates others to work towards achieving it. And this is a quote by the Southern Nazarene University that I really, really liked, because it defines and describes vision casting quite superbly. And when we're looking at that, excuse me, another person has just come in. Okay. And when we're looking at that idea or that definition of vision casting, it's important that we know that when we project in an idea for the future to role players who actually form part of developing or executing that action plan, That's essentially what vision casting is. So we take this beautiful and powerful image of what the future looks like for us as individuals, what we envision success or happiness or joy to look like, and we actually articulate it in a way that the people involved in helping you develop that plan know what it is and are in on it. And that's what the definition of vision casting actually is. So it's important to note the following. Firstly, vision casting is not the process of establishing a vision or generating ideas or the goals. So vision casting is not the stage where you actually have to create the goals or establish the vision. When you are casting a vision, the assumption is that there is a vision to cast. So we don't look at this discussion as I'm going to help you create goals or establish a vision. We're looking at it as you've come to this discussion with a vision in mind. What do you do with it, and how do you effectively communicate it to the people that are involved in achieving it? The second thing that we need to note is that vision or goals are already established. So we've already established what our goals are. We know what our vision is. Now it's just about discussing them or including the role players into that discussion. It's also important to understand that the process of effectively communicating your goals and objectives to the relevant people who may be required to support an existing vision. Right? So this process enables us to communicate these goals so that the people required to support the vision are on board. It's also important to remember that the word vision comes from sight. And I think it's such an important thing to acknowledge and remember that having vision, having sight, being able to see is literally and figuratively a gift. So visions are not something that everybody gets to experience. Not everybody considers the future as bright. Not everybody considers that the fact that they have goals that they want to aspire to. So the fact that you have a vision introduces the sight, which means we're actually blessed to be able to be thinking about the future as a bright thing. It's actually a gift to have a vision. And because a vision is such a gift, we see it as a high value item. So it's valuable and it needs to be nurtured and treated with great responsibility. We cannot lie idle on our visions. We can't lie idle on our goals, because if we sleep on them, there's no chance of them actually coming into reality. So we need to treat it with the nurture that a vision deserves, as the gift that it is. The moment that we have a goal or we have a vision, we need to nurture it into existence. And that's very important for us as those who are casting the vision. And then finally, it's also important to know that we actually are given an opportunity to cast a vision every day. So whether we cast it in mediocrity or in excellence, casting a vision is actually a choice. So the choice that you make to cast a vision depends on where you are in your mental state. So are you in a positive mindset or a negative mindset? Depending on that mental state, you will cast a vision that reflects your own internal makeup at that time. So we make the active choice of casting visions daily, but whether they are cast in mediocrity or excellence is something that is dependent on us. And that's really important for us to remember. So the next question is, who casts the vision? So I'm not going to go back and forth with the short answers because it's going to mean waiting and delaying a little bit. If anybody has a response or an input on who they think is responsible for casting the vision, please just shout the answer. No inputs.
I would say the leader.
Absolutely. You're very, very right. So the leader is actually responsible for casting the vision. And what do we mean by leader? So before we go into the definition of a leader, I want you to understand that vision casting is not just for corporates. It's not just for people who are in business. It's not just for CEOs or management position people. It's for the everyday individual who has a goal, the everyday individual who has a vision of their own. Whether it's in the context of work or in the context of your personal development, the context of a relationship, a family, your parenting journey, we all cast visions because we all have hopes and dreams for success in a specific area of our lives. So it's very important that we know that. So the people who cast visions are known as leaders, and the leaders are what we call the principal roles in this area of influence. So as a mom, you are a principal player in your journey with your children. As a husband, you are a principal role player in your marriage. As an executive account, you are a principal role player in that marketing department or that communications department. So whatever area of expertise, area of influence you are in, if you are a principal role player in that area, you are automatically the leader of that vision, and it's your responsibility to cast it. Secondly, like I mentioned, not the corporate second, it's across the board. Anybody who owns the vision and is a principal role player is the one that casts the vision. Thirdly, it's important to understand that you are known as a leader if you are the principal role player in your family, in your life. Your life is very important because first, before you are mom or chairperson or CEO, you are a person. So you are responsible for your own journey. And ultimately, the goals that you set, you also set for yourself. So you are then, by default, a leader of your own life. Secondly, then you look into your family, you look into a business or organization, a relationship, a project or school. So whatever role that you are playing in the lead, you are the principal role player in these areas. Why is it that the leader must cast the vision? The reason that the vision casting falls on the leader is because they are often the vision bearer. What does this mean? Is that they carry the weight of its outcome. Whether that outcome is good or bad, it's on your shoulders. So as a parent, you cast a vision because you are the role player in the lead of developing your children. And the outcome of that vision depends on you. So as a leader, you have to be the one to cast it because you are the vision bearer. You are running ahead, carrying the torch, the flame of what the future looks like. So it falls on you to cast it as the leader. The next question is, who is the vision cast for? So this is about, as a leader, if I'm casting my vision or I'm casting the vision for an organization or a team or a family, who am I casting it for? Does anyone have an input on who they think the vision is cast for? Okay, we cast visions for role players or collaborators. So what do you mean by role players or collaborators? So vision collaborators are people who are required to execute the action plan or the goals associated with the realization of the leader's vision. So vision is not often something that a leader can carry out themselves. Often you are required to have people to support the vision or have their buy-in to help you achieve the vision. It's very rare that a leader will actually have a vision that they can carry out completely, 100% autonomously on their own. So collaborators or role players are the people that are actually required to help support this vision into realization, or the people that you actually require their buy-in. You need to convince them, to influence them, to see your vision as probable, first of all, it can actually happen, and to see your vision as good for them too. So when we are casting our visions, we are casting our visions to the people who will be directly impacted by that vision or indirectly impacted by that vision. So whoever is impacted by that vision is called a collaborator or a role player. And the closeness to the vision obviously depends on how close they are to the leader who's giving the vision or how the impact of the vision has on them. And that's who we cast the vision for. So when we cast our vision as leaders, it's very necessary that role players and collaborators have a clear picture of the complete vision, its action plan, and their role in achieving it. And this is the reason that we cast it, because we need to make them understand this is the plan, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there, and this is how you are going to help us get there. But also, it's important that we get there because of A, B, and C. So as a leader, as you're casting your vision to these role players, it's very important that they understand why they should actually buy in. Why should I even, collaborate with you in achieving this vision? So that's why articulating the vision clearly becomes all the more important. Another reason or another facet of us casting the vision to these collaborators is because we also cast this vision for what we call observers. So observers are people who require the information. So they don't necessarily need it to support it. They don't need it because they are, role players, they'll be affected by it. but they require just an observer's eye, like a helicopter view of that vision, because they have an interest in the leader's vision, right? So observers can be anybody. It can be somebody who is your accountability partner. It can be somebody who's a competitor, you know. If they know what the competitor's vision is, then they can make adjustments to their own, or they know what to expect. Us as South African citizens, for example, are observers of the country's vision, right? When we are looking at the Rand plummet or the Rand rise, we're observing the impact of a vision that was set by the leaders. And whether or not we were direct role players in that vision, as we observe, we are interested in the outcome. So we cast the vision for role players and collaborators who are impacted directly by the vision. And then we cast the vision for observers who are people interested in the outcome of the vision. Casting your vision enables observers to track the leader's progress, and it's required for making decisions. So where observers are concerned, having an aerial view of your vision, once you cast it to them, enables them to make certain decisions. Like, I wasn't this person's partner. Looking at what their vision is, I think I might want to collaborate with them in the future. Or going into a relationship. If an observer at the time is somebody that you're dating and you just met them and you cast your vision to them, they're not a direct role player yet, but observing your vision gives them an indication of saying, well, you know, your relationship material, you have a plan. So, okay, I'm on board and I like your plan. So maybe let's give this a try. So observers are just as important as role players are, in the sense that they give us an indication of whether or not our vision was viable and whether or not our vision is lucrative. And we need to know if our vision is lucrative so that the people we are casting it for will be able to buy in on it. Are there any questions at this stage before we move on? Oh, good. Great. Thank you. The next question that we're going to answer is, why is it important to cast the vision? And this is a really, really loaded question, really, because it's got very many facets to its answer. But when we start this question, we start by answering it in the following way. So what we know about a vision is that when it's in a person's mind, it's intangible. So it isn't a reality yet. It's still in our minds. It's a dream. It's a wish. It's a hope. It's something that we see in our mind's eye, but it hasn't translated into reality. Vision casting is very important because it takes what's intangible and it transports it into something tangible. And until it's a tangible plan, a tangible vision, achieving it is very futile. The chances of achieving it are actually quite slim, because we can have these big plans in our heads, these big visions in our heads. If they just stay there and we attempt to achieve them, we've missed a whole lot of steps to actually facilitate that process. So the first reason why vision casting is so important is that it takes what is intangible, an intangible thought, an intangible idea, and it translates it into a tangible reality, which is very, very important. The next thing that makes vision casting so important is that it keeps the leader accountable. We, as human beings in general, we require accountability structures all around us. We don't function very well if we don't have people pushing us. Well, most of us anyways. They are the select few who are able to actually drive themselves and motivate themselves. But in most cases, external motivation is what keeps us grounded and keeps us focused on achieving our goals. So vision casting is important because you put it out in the open, and the role players and collaborators know what the vision is. They know what their role in the vision is, and it gives them an opportunity to hold the leader accountable, which means that your success rate goes higher if people are on board and they're supporting you and they're rooting you on. And achieving this goal is actually a lot more easier when you have accountability partners. The third reason why vision casting is so important is the fact that it drives motivation. So when we create these visions and we cast them to the role players, it keeps everybody motivated to achieve the desired results. If I know what my role is in the greater scheme of things, and I know how important it is that we do this so that we reach this goal, I'm constantly motivated to keep pushing, constantly motivated to reach the goals that we've set out in the vision. So vision casting is really important for motivation, to keep the family driven. You know, as a family, if you cast a vision together, you know that we are all in this together. And achieving this is good for all of us. We're all motivated to keep going. So the motivation levels go up, which means that the actual chances of you achieving your goals are higher as well. It's also important to cast your vision because it promotes a culture of success. So when a leader is continuously collaborating with role players to achieve results, it creates an environment of continuous success. And what that basically means is you want to thrive with the people around you. And you want the people around you to know that in this structure, or in this family, or in this work unit, or in this business, or in this company, we are a people driven for success. And that happens when you are casting your visions and everybody is privy to them, because we know that when we put our minds to something and we achieve it, success is inevitable. So you are actually creating a culture of success when you are a leader who casts their vision, because you are creating a space where people know that we are goal orientated. We want to achieve things. We want to see them happen. Success becomes the culture. And that's great for areas of continuous development because it doesn't create mediocrity. Instead, it creates self-determination and continuous development. The fourth reason why vision casting is so important is that it promotes, is that it promotes continuous improvement. And what that basically means is that when you're setting targets for yourself and you're setting goals for yourself and you achieve them, you are continuously improving. You're checking what the changes that need to be made are. You're checking to see if there's anything that you can refine. And this enables all role players to check the action plans and see when changes can be made when necessary. So you are continuously improving the vision. And if a vision starts off as one thing, the reason we cast it is so that we can continue look at it. And before we know it, as we continuously improve it, it develops into something bigger than we initially thought was possible. So continuous improvement is very important, and that's why we cast the vision. And then finally, vision casting actually strengthens bonds. So as we get together as leader and collaborators, or leaders and role players, we are in a continuous engagement, because as the leader, you have to constantly touch base with the role players to check, listen, this was your role. Where are you with this? Are you on track with this objective? How are we doing? Do you need help? Can I assist in any way? Is anything inhibiting you from achieving this goal? And the more that we touch base and continue our engagement together, we're actually strengthening those ties and we're creating bonds between leader and role player, which makes the unit stronger, making the chances of achieving this vision even higher. Now we're going to go into what we call the vision casting process. So at this point, we know what vision casting is. It's taking intangible visions, dreams, hopes, and translating them into something tangible by articulating them. Whether it's speaking them out, sharing them with somebody, writing them down in a plan or goal setting, that's what vision casting is. We also know what vision casting is not. Vision casting is not the goal setting. It's not the establishment of a vision. The vision is already established. You are merely communicating it effectively to those that are involved. We also know that a vision is not something that a leader carries on their own. In most cases, a leader requires the buy-in or the support of role players or collaborators to actually make their vision a reality. And finally, we know that it is important to cast our vision for our role players to understand the clear picture of where we are going, what their role is in the process, and how we're going to get there. And casting the vision keeps them motivated. It keeps the information in constant circulation. We're able to track our goals. We're able to have accountability partners that keep us accountable to reaching those goals as well. Now, the next phase is just helping us understand how does this process actually work. So there are 5 stages in actually setting a vision, the vision casting rather. And the first stage is what we call establishing a vision statement. Thereafter, we go into identifying key role players. Step 3 is establishing clear goals and objectives. Step 4 is assigning action points to role players. And finally, step 5 is setting timelines and deliverables. So when we talk about step 1, a vision statement is very, very important. So what is it and how does it work? Basically, this is where the leader describes the vision in words. So you make the description clear and concise. And sometimes this is a little bit difficult to do because some of our visions are just so elaborate and so big and so colorful, right? And how do we put something so big into a concise statement that everybody understands? It's important to focus on what, how, and who, basically. Those are the 3 points. So when you are creating your vision statement, you are describing it as concisely as possible in those 3 terms. What is it? Who's involved? And when will you achieve it? And the how.